relatability or authenticity is relatability, but actually, whether it's escapism or not, it's the contradiction that exists in the real world, even within an individual, makes that character or that person more interesting and potentially relatable. Welcome to Culture and Code, a podcast about the biggest shifts in culture and tech. I'm Rei and Tara, a creative entrepreneur and founding partner of IANCO, a global innovation firm based in New York, Tokyo, and Singapore.
Great. And I'm Tara Tan, managing partner of Strange Ventures. We are a first check firm investing in the future of computing.
So today's topic, when we were brainstorming what to talk about, you actually brought up Kpop Demon Hunters. And I actually did watch it over the weekend just to do my homework. I knew about it because it came up on my Netflix in the last month or so. But also, for whatever reason, I've been getting hit with their ads quite a bit on audio. The K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along events. I don't know if I'm a target or not, but maybe because I watched it on Netflix. And that conversation led to talking about not just about that particular IP, but the recent sort of fads, if I may call it that, but a recent sort of trend of these fictional characters becoming quite popular. So another one that I mentioned was Labubu, which, by the way, I'm not an owner of. And just in general, escapism at large is what I thought we could talk about. So since you mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters, tell us about, how you came across and why you thought that would be an interesting topic to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about, obviously culture and code. And I think that there's an interesting shift. I mean, you call it escapism. I think I read an interview with the Labubu founder, and he was like, I am in the business of happiness. So I'm crafting this product really to make people happy. And that is his goal. There's no real utility or even universe around Labubu's. He was like, I just wanted to make people happy. And that's why, that came in with that surprise pack where, it's a blind box. You don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You open it and that's the surprise, and that's like happiness for him.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. I mean, Kpop Demon Hunters, I thought was an interesting phenomena. I caught it probably a month back, I want to say, but it's on track to becoming the top movie on Netflix. It's already the best animated movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's on track to becoming the top.
Oh, wow. That says something.
Yes.
Wow.
I think it broke 20 million this weekend for that sing-along theaters.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But I think it's been viewed something like, I think this weekend it was viewed like 1,300 times. So over 1,000 sold out screenings.
Okay.
Which is crazy. They made 20 million over the box office. And the crazy thing is, Sony fumbled the bag. So Sony made the film.
Yes, Sony Entertainment Animation made the film. That's right.
They did a beautiful job. They sold all the rights to Netflix for Kpop Demon Hunters for $20 million.
Oh my God. They must be kicking themselves.
It's insane because they made it for about 100 million.
Okay. And they sold it for 20 million?
They sold it for 20 million.
Oh my God.
And all the rights. So that includes sequels, spin-offs, merch, everything. 20 million. They wanted it off their hands.
I wonder why that is.
I mean, it's such a surprise hit. Like, it sounds weird. K-pop Demon Hunters, it's a pretty edgy theme for kids. I think Sony was supposed to, launch it in theaters. They weren't sure if that was going to work. So they were like, let's just take it off our hands.
Yeah.
So they pulled it to Netflix for 20 million. They made it for about 100 million. The budget was about 100 million. They sold it at a loss. Really, they wrote it off. Which is insane because right now Netflix is sitting basically on top of their number one box office hit, which they got pennies on the dollar.
For 20 million. Yeah. They didn't even make it. They had somebody else make it. And then they bought the...
I mean, they took it. They took it, they were like, oh, it was like a bargain sale from Sony, basically.
Yeah.
And they were like, sure, we'll take it, 20 mil. And now it's like on track to becoming their biggest hit. I mean, their songs are hitting number one on the Billboard charts.
Right. I was reading an interview with the writer-director of the show. And what I didn't realize, her name is Maggie Cam. And then she got a partner, writer-director partner, Chris Applehands. They are the directors, but I think it's the brainchild of Maggie Can. And the interview that I was reading said that she worked on it for 7 years. So I thought it was much more recent than that. Whoever came up with this, because K-pop and animation and all these things, I thought it was more of a recent thing, and didn't realize that she started working on it 7 years ago. And then she brought on this guy Chris Applehans, as a partner writer director, and then they expanded and deepened the story. And then they got Sony to make it, create the animation. I didn't read as far as the Netflix deal. I didn't realize that part of the equation. Yeah, but she had been working on it for such a long time. And, I was asking my daughter, who's 16, about it, if she had watched it. And she was like, oh, yeah, I watched it. And she had a very sort of dry critique of it, in that, in comparison to other anime movies that she's watched, she enjoyed it, and she said that she understood why it's popular, especially with the sing-along component or music component of it. It's almost like a musical, right? Yeah. But I thought her reaction was a little mature, in that she was like, oh, it's not that deep. And I mean, depending on how you read into it, because there's like Korean mythology behind it, and, folklore behind it. So it could be deep depending on how much you read into it. But at the same time, you don't have to read into it to understand
I
the
actually disagree. I
entertainment.
I thought it was a lot deeper than,
Really?
kids shows. So this was aimed for, I think,
Right.
8 to 12 was the age range, like
Oh,
the
it was that
tween.
young.
It's a tween range. This was like a
Okay.
tween show. So, like tweenie bopper kind of show. I
Yeah,
thought the
yeah,
themes were quite mature. I mean, they talked
yeah.
about, if you kind of read into the literary analysis of the film, they went through
Yeah.
a lot, right? Like,
Right, right, right.
the parts of yourself that you don't like or you have to keep hidden. I think one of the characters was like a child of divorce who lived between two countries, and she talked about that.
Yeah,
Another
yeah, yeah,
character
yeah.
is like a problem child, who was always told to that she was the black sheep of the family and so on. So like I feel like
Right,
there's
right.
a lot of kind of pretty, I would say, not say adult, but they didn't infantilize a lot of themes. Like
Yeah, yeah.
for kids, I was like, it's probably as deep, if not more deep than, the stuff in that
Mm.
range, which is like your Toy Story or your Monsters
Right,
Inc.
right,
or
right,
any
right.
of that. So it's supposed to be a tween kind of show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
interesting. Or
But
preteen.
I mean,
Yeah.
the main theme, well, one of the main themes I would say, I mean, there's, this, the K-pop aspect of it. And, these three girls, the band, who on the surface is a K-pop music band,
Yeah.
but, that's their way of fighting these
Right.
demons. So there's that kind of structure to it. But to your point, one of the main themes is about self-discovery. And that may be why, for the audience, especially, if it's the 28 to 12, or even like teenager, that's when they go through the puberty and the process
Finding
of
themselves.
trying to,
Yeah.
finding their place, which, by the way, I feel like
Yeah.
it's an ongoing struggle for anybody, people into their 40s,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Or 50s.
Right?
I mean, like, I feel like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
constant, right? We're struggling with our own demons. Things
yeah,
were, things that we're always trying to hide because,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's a big theme. And I do wonder, like, it's interesting. I feel like in the realms of content right now, there's not been something that has felt so kind of timeless or
Mm-hmm.
like bridges generation, kind of
Yeah,
thing. It kind of
yeah,
feels like interesting. I mean, Labubu is a similar thing, right? It's a toy,
yeah.
but it's kind of captured the imagination of, people across different decades. And
Yeah,
so
but I guess the reason why I brought up the topic of escapism is like Labubu. So just to switch gears to Labubu a bit, that IP has been around since 2015. So the character designer, you said that, he's in the business of creating happiness,
that's right.
right? It's an artist named Kasing Lang, who's based in Hong Kong, and he created Labubu back in 2015.
Mm,
So 10 years ago. And it was, I think, 2019 that Pop Mart, which is a Chinese toy manufacturer slash company, bought the rights to Labubu. Or actually, yeah, the rights to the character.
Mm.
And then the story that this artist was writing, and then turned it into Labubu as a intellectual property slash, toy or figurines. Yeah. And then, but that was 2019. So
Mm.
it took almost 5 years for it to really catch fire. And it was a combination of like celebrities like Lisa, another K-pop artist, or a couple of people of that stature featured Labubu as their, pet animal or a pet stuffed animal. And that caught fire. But also, the point that you were making about the blind boxing, so that you don't know what color you're going to get until you buy it. So that kind of, makes people addicted to collecting whatever, I don't even know how many colors they have. But what do you think is behind, like, it's not like this idea of escapism or this genre of fictional characters. I mean, it's been around for forever, right? In different forms. But animated characters like the Demon Hunters, or this sort of, ugly, cute character in Labubu, caught the imagination of the current generation now. I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't know exactly what the answer is right now, but or maybe like the reason why I brought up the point of escapism is that I think people may be tired of reality, so they're clinging on to alternate reality in these characters and stories.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's just human nature generally, no? Like
Yeah.
we've always loved entertainment and movies and all of that. So I think that's part of it. I don't know. For me, these characters feel a little bit more. There's kind of like an edginess to them, which
Yeah.
I thought was kind of interesting, right? Like it doesn't like Labubus are kind of like you said, ugly, and cute. Like they're not
Mhm.
adorable. They're kind
Yeah,
of like a
they're not
little bit
cutesy.
scary, a little bit ugly. They're not that cute. And I don't know, I think there's this, like, edginess to
Mm.
these, like, animation or animated characters that I find quite interesting. Like, they're
Mm.
not full anime, kind of visuals. Like, they're
Mm.
not kind of your Disney
Mm.
clean
Mm.
cut
Mm.
or Pixar, like, super, like, infant looking, like,
Yeah.
character. They're kind of edgy.
Yeah, the Labubu character, it's these teeth
Yeah,
that they have
right.
that make the character a little bit mischievous, I guess.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
mischievous is a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
I might not say they're evil, but
yeah,
there's that kind of, like, the word you use is edgy.
yeah.
But particularly like the Labubu character, there's this kind of mischievous or mischief in it that makes it a little bit
Yeah,
unexpected, maybe,
yeah,
or intrigue.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
intriguing. That's different from, to your point, like the polished Disney characters, or some of the, even like a lot of the Japanese anime characters, they tend to be on the cutesy side,
Mhm.
in the, like the old days, like what's that
Sanrio, like Hello
Sanrio,
Kitty.
yes, like Sanrio,
Hello
like
Kitty?
Hello, exactly, Hello
Yeah, yeah.
Kitty, right?
Yeah,
Hello
yeah, yeah.
Kitty are not, there's some purity to them,
Yeah,
that there's no edginess or
yeah,
edge
yeah,
to them. Whereas Labubu, by the way, like I've never bought one, and
yeah. Me
I
too. I
don't
love that.
know
Yeah.
anybody, or even
Oh,
my
you might
daughter who
know.
does. Oh,
You
maybe
might
she,
know.
as far as I know, she hasn't got one. At least she hasn't asked us to buy
Yeah.
one. But there's that kind of ugliness or edge that
Mm.
makes people curious. And not to shift gears a bit, but again, the reason why I was using the word escapism is I happened to come across an article that was in Vogue Business a few months ago, and it was about, let me bring it up on screen. It was about why escapism is the new marketing currency.
I kind of disagree with that thesis.
Let
I
me
actually think it's
bring it
the
up.
my sense is the counter. I think
Let
that
me bring it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean, I hear what they're saying. I just
yeah.
don't think so.
So this one, by the way, this is in Vogue. So it's very much about fashion.
Sure.
And the argument that this article was making, which came out actually quite a while ago, 6 months ago, almost 6 months ago, March of 2025. And writer is Amy Francobi is saying that in 2025, relatability has reached a breaking point. And
Just take his opposite.
yeah, the
Yeah.
point that she's making is that the take the paparazzi campaign trend once a clever marketing tactic, which has become formulaic. So, a lot of particularly fashion and luxury fashion houses are using this sort of paparazzi-like photojournalistic approach to create or manufacture, I would say, authenticity. And a couple of them felt authentic at the beginning, but it became a formula. And she's saying that the current trend of other brands who are creating these surrealistic fantasy landscapes for their image is the antithesis to this realism, authentic
Yeah. I don't
approach
know.
of marketing.
I totally disagree. I mean, I love that this episode is becoming something around brand, and we can
Yeah,
probably take this off screen, but I
yeah.
totally disagree with this take.
No, I love it.
I
Yeah,
totally disagree with this take. I think that
yeah,
what Labubu and Kpop Demon Hunters and all of
yeah,
these really kind of showcase is that people want multi-dimensionality. They want, like this sort of brand tension, creative tension,
yeah,
right? It's ugly, but it's cute. It's
yeah,
innocent, but it's mischievous.
yeah, yeah,
It's fun, but it's kind of dark. Like, I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like this sort of multi-dimensionality
Mm-hmm.
people want. And I think that sort of lifts it up from like flatness. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this person is fun, so they must be young and good and always good. Like the main character of K-pop Demon Hunters is like, she's good, but she has an evil side.
Yeah,
And I feel like that sort of multidimensionality is very fast emerging when people want this sort of like 360 view of a person, like good and bad. Like pretty, and I think that's even more authentic. So like
yeah,
I think that, it's not about if you're talking about escapism, then you're talking about ideals, right? Oh, the
yeah.
princess who always looks amazing and has
Sure,
never
sure.
does anything wrong. Like the main character of K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi, she did many things wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, she went behind her friend's back. She actually, like, like, hid things from them
yeah,
and all of that stuff. So I don't know. I think
yeah,
multidimensionality in brand is going to be even more important.
yeah.
And I don't think
I
it's
think,
about yeah,
yeah, I think
escapism
the
at
other
all.
thing is tension.
Yeah.
Like having tension in something makes it, or I might even say contradiction. So on one hand, this character seems perfect or cute or beautiful or smart or what have you. And on the other hand, the same character having a quality or an element that's contradictory to the idealistic aspect of it, and then might show a more real side of that individual or that scenario. But having that tension or even contradiction makes it interesting because you don't have to be so perfect to be a demon hunter or a hero or have you. Having that contradiction is in a way realistic because nothing is perfect and nobody is perfect, right? Yeah. So whether it's in the form of these animated characters in Demon Hunters or Labubu, this ugly cute character who's got a cutesy side as well as mischievous side, makes it more real and then perhaps more relatable. So to counter argue that the article that I just shared, they were saying that relatability or authenticity is relatability, but actually, whether it's escapism or not, it's the contradiction that exists in the real world, even within an individual, makes that character or that person more interesting and potentially relatable.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's interesting. And the question becomes, how can a brand or a person or a company kind of express that multidimensionality? Right? Like, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
becomes the brand strategy going forward for a
Mm,
lot of companies, right? I
mm,
think it's
mm.
no longer we are XYZ. Like, I feel like it's a, and I think traditional brands try to preserve that careful mirage,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And they spend a lot of effort to be like, we're always this. But I don't think that's the case going forward. I think
right,
that's not
right.
what people want.
Going back to the point that the background about this K-pop Demon Hunters and how Sony made it for $100 million and sold it for 20 million. So people who were involved in that deal on both sides, on the Sony side, I guess they really didn't see the value. And on the Netflix side, they either saw the value and thought, oh, this is a bargain, and or maybe a combination that they didn't think that it was that big of a that it would be that such a big hit, and thought that 20 million is all they can pay. And but now it's poised to become the number one
Yeah.
feature. Just it's kind of mind-boggling, you
It's
know?
mind-boggling. Yeah, people are
Yeah.
calling it like, oh, this would be Gen Alpha's version of Elsa or Frozen. Like that
Oh
big.
yes.
Like it's huge. Like if you think about
Yeah.
it, it's only been out for I can't remember, like a month, 2 months,
Almost 2 months.
at most 2 months. So it's like
Almost
could
two
have
months.
totally been the blockbuster that
Yeah.
no one could predict. Like
Yeah.
no one could predict this
Yeah.
blockbuster.
I mean,
So
I Frozen. I remember when it came out because it must have been what 10, 12 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah, my daughter was 3 or 4, I think, at the time, and I remember taking her to. Now that you mention it, taking her to a sing along event at one of the stadiums in New
interesting.
York.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, I mean, I was living in Brooklyn at the time. Had a chance to. I was in Japan for like a holiday, and in Japan, it was such a phenomenon as well. It was just a sensation all over the world. And K-pop Demon Hunters, to your point, like might become that is sort of amazing, and it's a different scenario between say Frozen and Demon Hunters, but I guess the music element of it as well as the visual element of it working side by side, but not just for kids, but it seems like for grown-ups as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's kind of
yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting phenomena, and I think for Netflix to then start breaking out into experiences becomes really
mm,
interesting. Right,
mm.
obviously Squid Game, going back to cultural stuff, this is for adults, but, they
Yeah,
started expanding that
yeah,
universe a little bit more with
yeah,
experiences and obviously merch, costumes, collaborations. Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and then it begs the question, like, Netflix formula and this goes into, the studio model, like the movie studio model, which
yeah,
it could be an entirely new episode.
yeah,
But I think that's gonna change real fast, right?
yeah,
It's so quick. If Netflix model, which is like constant experiments, basically you're running like I don't know how many experiments they run at a time, but like hundreds of
mm,
experiments at a time to see
mm,
which hits. And then if it hits, then you go big on the distribution, the experiences, the
yeah,
merch, whatever,
yeah.
versus like the traditional movie studio who put in all their bets into, one or two hits that they think will go
Right,
out.
right.
And then that just sort of high upfront investment becomes, questionable. And obviously with AI, it becomes a lot quicker to start testing concepts.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
where it becomes interesting, right? You're like, okay, let's put out like 100 concepts as a preview and see if there's any that takes off, and then we'll double down.
mm,
Like, I think that becomes interesting. I don't think it takes the craft away, but it takes
yeah,
that sort of spirit of high upfront cost
mhm,
kind of away. It kind of leaves more room for experimentation.
yeah,
So I think that's going to change drastically. I mean, if you talk about how AI is changing or going to change Hollywood or the movie industry, I think
yeah,
it's going to change it very dramatically,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
extremely
yeah,
dramatically.
yeah,
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 extremely dramatically.
yeah. I mean, just to wrap up this
Yeah,
conversation, a couple of things that I was thinking about. Until that you mentioned it, I didn't know that it was Netflix who bought it for 20 million. I knew that it was Sony
yeah,
Entertainment that made it, but I
yeah.
didn't realize that they bought it only for $20 million for a
Great
movie that was
scale.
made for $100 million. Yeah. And then the other thing is that escapism is a thing, but at the same time, like what people relate to doesn't have to be an escapist thing to relate to. Actually, it helps them. Like, in the case of Demon Hunters or Labu, there's an element of tension or contradiction that makes it, in a fictional world, that makes it real and authentic and therefore relatable for the audience, like my kids
Well,
or even myself, right? So yeah, like escapism may be a thing, but it's behind it, it's this notion of relatability that goes beyond escapism. That's sort of my takeaway from this conversation.
yes.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I think that's a wrap. I guess we'll have a different conversation next week.
Nope. See you soon.
All right,
Take care.
bye.
Bye.